moving along now to Don. Don asked a question. He says, is there a way to list equities according to earnings date for the 3-month period? Yes, as much as possible. Let's walk through it, Don. What we're going to do is I'm going to use a single option strategy different than a covered call. I'm just going to use a long call search to do what you're asking about. I don't have long calls in my strategies right now, so we're going to click on the other strategies tab, Don. I'm going to go to long call. And let's go ahead and click Save Configuration. Long call is now added to my position. Now, this is a little bit tough, Don. There's not a direct way to do this. I'm going to try to fake it with a search, but I have to keep 2 things in mind right now. Number 1, I'd like to go to September, which was about 77 days out in time, so I could see all the options that have an expiration date between now and September expiration and order them or rank them by earnings date. The problem with that is that not every optionable stock has a September series right now. Some will just have June and July, and the August series will come out after June expiration. Some might have a July and an August and then a November. The September won't come out until after July's expiration, based on where it is. So most everything should have an August expiration right now. And I could potentially do that. So we're going to use August as our default. Let's go into the search. And whenever I'm asked, Mike, how can I see just the particular stocks that have a certain range of implied volatility ranked from highest to lowest, or certain stocks that have a certain percent implied volatility range lowest to highest if I'm buying long calls or long puts, for example, when I buy into lower IV range? Any kind of question like that, the first thing I do is clear the filters. We're going to empty out every filter from any default or save search I was just viewing. I don't want to look at all expirations. I just want to look at one example per stock. So what I'm going to do is select the next and kind of furthest out expiration that I know is going to be there to come close to your 3-month period done. And again, I can't choose September because I know not every optionable stock has a September series right now. I can't choose October for the same reason. Every optionable stock, index, and ETF will have a standard August expiration. You always have the current month and the next month available. Yes, weeklies are in there too, but not every stock offers weeklies. We have to use the standard expiration. And I'm going to tell the system to show me just one strike out of the money. I'm going to use the number of strikes out of the money 1-to-1 to just see one example for each and every stock that it comes up in the next 49 days with earnings. And now what we're going to do is we're going to sort it by earnings date. So I'm going to go into the sort results table by. We're going to find earnings date in here somewhere. I know it's in here. See here, earnings date. And I'm going to go lowest to highest. The triangle here, the reverse or the pyramid, I should say here, gives us lowest to highest. And then, of course, the reverse here, in that case, the reverse pyramid is giving us highest to lowest. So we're going to see closest to farthest away. Any optionable stock, which is all of them, that has, has an August expiration, my apologies, and is only one strike out of the money, and at the same time has an expiration date, an earnings date between now and expiration. So just 49 days away, there are over 600. I will be honest with you, this the search results cap out at 600 in this case. But here you can see all of the ones, okay, wish I could do 0 to 2, but Ocean Power and Lejeune Holdings had earnings today. Everything else, these are not confirmed naturally because it's 7.5. They're likely to be 7.6 because of the holiday. And what you want to focus on, of course, is confirmed or unconfirmed. What does that mean? Confirmed means the company has approved and released when its earnings date is going to be across the exchanges. Unconfirmed means this is the expected date based on the last earnings date that the company reported, but they haven't officially confirmed it. And that's important to know. And whenever you select that earnings date column in any of your searches, you'll be able to view the confirmed or unconfirmed. Now, as I mentioned, you're seeing over 600 results here. Let's go to page 6. It'll probably take us to page 7, I believe. Go to 9. So we're still at 17 days. A lot of earnings coming up. We know that. We're in the next cycle here. Okay, and I'll continue on. Oh, that's going to take too long. I can't go to last in this case. But anyway, you see there's a lot, and we're still only 19 days out in time, and we're already on page 12. We're at 180 of the total listed results in that case, Don. One thing I could do to clean this up is just click printer-friendly results. Now, this will probably only give me the top 300, I think, 250, but now I can print this list out if I want and keep scrolling through it and keep scrolling through it. I'm going to pause the screen for you guys. Okay, there we go. And this takes us all the way down to Meta Financial, which is 25 days away. And, we're probably in column, like I said, 300 or so at this point of the stocks that have earnings between now and expiration. So this is listing the equities. But again, there's a few factors here. There's a lot of unconfirmed in here. This, again, if you look at your broker, it'll probably have the same number for HA. You guys can check me on that later. Check what your broker has for HA. It probably says 727 or 726. Maybe have an asterisk next to it or a star, meaning that this is where we all expect the earnings to fall around based on last year's reporting date and the previous quarter's reporting date. But the company doesn't have to have that confirmed right. Some just confirm it a day or two before the earnings date is actually released. I think the closest one I've seen was actually 3 days before it went from unconfirmed to confirmed. Gave me a little scare because of the position I was in as a bull put credit. I was expecting it 2 days after the expiration date. It happened the day of the expiration date. Thankfully, it was bullish in that case. So that's the way to do it, Don. You can use a search. Let me get out of this here, the printer-friendly version. You can use the search, look for the 1 or 2 next, I should say, standard expiration or 2 standard expirations out. There's no guarantee that every optionable stock you want to see is going to have an earnings date have an expiration date if you search for September. Or Don, if you search for October, even November, or even January. Not all optionable stocks offer leaps, of course, so they're not all going to be there. But again, select the date, force it to just show you one strike out of the money because you're more interested in the stock list in this case. You're not looking for a direct option at this point. You can narrow that down later once you get the stock list that you want. And then, of course, check the date for earnings between now and expiration. Another way that you can see upcoming earnings, of course, Don, as we just saw before, back in that Learning Center view. And earnings announced this week. So this just gives us a list here of, we can show all, if we want to, all entries, but this is just for the next week in this case. And you see how many there are. We started off at 25. I now selected all entries. Sorry for the scrolling, folks. Selected all. Go and I can refresh the page there. And then you can even search, too, for a specific one on this list, search for a stock on this list as well, Don. And these are organized, of course, by date. Oh, I'm sorry. That's something different there. I'm sorry. Earnings date. There you go. My apologies. 7.2. There's the ones we saw. Organized by date there, so you can scroll through those. But yes, I don't have a full list of every equity, their date in a 3-month period, because all optionable stocks that will report earnings are going to have an earnings, I believe, now between now and the next 3 months from now. But that is a way you can see the most recent ones coming up, ones 1 month away, 25 days away. Don, that's a way that you can do it. Take a single option search, long call, long put, covered call even, naked put. Clear the settings, select the expiration that you want. Keep it just 1 or 2 out, July or August in this case, because not everything's going to have a September. You're going to miss few if you look for something September expiration, because there's not going to be a lot of stocks that have a September expiration right now. Set the range out of the money to 1 to 1. And then, of course, earnings date between now and expiration. And that should give you a reasonable list of what you want to sort through. And, of course, you can even change the expiration date or the earnings date as well you saw, or I'm sorry, you saw in long call, when we ran that search, I didn't save it, but we ran that search for earnings. We looked for anything that had an earnings date between now and expiration. Well, if you feel that that's too close, 1 week out, you could say look for it between now and 3 weeks from now, or not between now and expiration, or on the expiration time frame when we selected August, tell it not to show me anything that maybe was 7 days to expiration on time. That might help you filter it down, but you'd still see some results that may have earnings coming up in the next 2 to 3 days as well. Okay, so anytime you have a question about that, in the sense of, can I just see stocks that have an ex-dividend date between now and the next 30 days? Can I see stocks that expire within the next 30 days but have a percent implied volatility range above 90? Or stocks that have a percent stock volume greater than 100%? Clear the filters, select a standard expiration date where all optionable stocks, indexes, and ETFs will have that. Set the out-of-the-money range for number of strikes, just 1-to-1, to isolate one result for each individual stock, and then put in your percent implied volatility range filter, your Bollinger Band filter, your MACD filter, so you can just see a list of stocks in that case that match that basic criteria. You could use the printer-friendly version to help you copy and paste those results, of course, into your own personal list, and then go into another strategy and just screen against those stocks that at that moment matched your criteria. All right. Great. Okay. Okay. On this note, sort of, it looks like it's Kevin. Kevin asks, what are some of the other features in the Learning Center? Okay, so we just looked at that basic video here on introduction to options trading that Ernie did. Access to her online investment courses there. You can get the quick start guide. You can schedule a coaching session from here. You can also schedule a coaching session from right under the main home tab. Access the tip sheets that are sent out during the 14-day free trial. View some of the tutorials and interactive walkthroughs on using some of the various search tools, Option Chain, and others. Links to the webinars, which is also right here under the main home tab, Kevin, under free webinars. The strategy help pages, just a basic outline and discussion, basic white paper, essentially. Very dry, just very basic of strategy help for all 23 strategies we support. This is the archive of the price watch alert and warning update emails that are sent out by that third party that uses our search tools. The market activity is what Kevin might have been asking about, because you had the earnings announced this week, which we just reviewed and went over a little bit more in depth for Don. Ex-dividend dates coming up this week, stocks hitting 52-week highs, 52-week lows. And we went over the optionable stock statistics page in the last discussion there that we had, to go over what is an average implied volatility and what might I consider in my filters, so I don't go too far beyond that and find the options that have too high of implied volatility, pointing to something big coming up on the horizon that might be negative to my position. The market statistics, this view, Kevin, I think is what you're asking about, is a review of what happened today. What were the industry gainers and losers today? Apparel, manufacturing up huge. Oil and gas still going up. Silver is pretty good movement. I didn't notice that today. I wasn't paying attention, but I did notice that some of the miners were up. I just didn't pay attention to silver. But in the meantime, gas going up, solar's going down, I guess. Pharmaceutical retailers took a hit. Real estate services, that's going to be bouncing around for a while, isn't it? Luxury goods and food distribution, those industries were down. Biggest sector loser today was healthcare, minus 1.3, financial and real estate, as we talked about above there. Interesting, industrials it's not too bad. Industrials were down a little bit. Individual stock gainers and losers. Some stocks you might not have heard of. SQBG, don't know what that one is, up 89.2%. IDT up 15.4%. It's just a review of what happened today. Here's our biggest stock losers as well. Highest option volumes, the 2 of July, 140 call. Makes sense. Option expiring today, right at the money. Lots of volume trading hands, people rolling, closing the positions, maybe trying to take them one day. And the highest open interest options. Take a look at that. Wow. July 40 call on the VIX, 389. Now, this is not today. This is total open interest. VIX calls, 40 strike, 389,000 contracts. A lot of people nervous about the market, maybe using VIX edge, 329 at the 21st July 16 strike. More expensive, of course, the VIX being around 15. There's a lot of open interest on those options. They might be part of a spread, bull or bear. It's interesting. It's hard to tell. Is that a bull bear or a bear spread? Oh, that's the put. My apologies. That was the put. The 16 put on the VIX and the 40 call. Maybe selling the put, buying the call. Synthetic long position on the VIX. Pretty close to an equal number of contracts, isn't it? All right, I'm not going to speculate, and I'm not going to say that's a good play. I'm just kind of looking at it. Okay, we could have a bull or bear spread with a lot of these contracts at the 21st July 25 call with the 40. What do I mean by bull or bear? Well, this is just showing me the open interest. Don't know if these are long or short. So if a large number of investors are selling the 25 and buying the 40, that's a bear call spread going to July 21. Banking the VIX is going to stay below 25. They're buying the 25s, selling the 40s. That is a massive out-of-the-money bull call debit spread. They're betting on the VIX shooting up due to market uncertainty coming up in the next 3 weeks. Could be either or, I don't know. There's a lot of open interest there as well. That's pretty interesting. I hadn't seen that actually in the past. I haven't paid attention to that in the past couple of weeks, but that's quite interesting now that VIX has been dropping. In any case, other things, total put-call volume ratio, put-call open interest ratio, call strike distribution ratio, put strike distribution in the money versus out of the money, stock total number of advances, total number of declines, and unchanged, 52-week high-low ratio as well, 269-year highs, 43-year lows. Market at a glance, what happened today? That's what we see in the that market activity page in the optionable stock statistics. We covered the average of multiples of those as well, Kevin. Okay, so that's sort of a review of what's also available in that Learning Center tab. Of course, I want to remind everyone that today's material are my thoughts on your questions, designed for educational purposes, increasing investing performance and options knowledge. Any stocks or options discussed today should not be taken as direct recommendations or direct trading suggestions. We were showing the opportunities and the differences of what using a far out in time in the money covered call on low volatility Dow 30 stocks might be and how to search for them, but that might not meet your trading goals. I understand that. We wanted to impress that, and I feel that we did that in that presentation. I am not opening a diagonal spread on Abbott on Tuesday when the markets open back up, because remember, markets are closed on Monday. That was just an example of why the debit to strike difference ratio is important, and what you should look for in those scenarios and why it's risky to do it the other way in case you have a stock that runs against you. Options do involve risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Whoops, that's my pen. All right. Now, we showed some good opportunities on the search tool today, some ways to evaluate it. We showed for Don that if you have a specific thing and say, hey, I want to see all stocks that have this put call volume ratio. I want to see all stocks that have this implied volatility ratio. I want to see all stocks with earnings. We showed a quick way to do that in the search tool. And then, of course, we also walked through a lot of material on the Learning Center and what's available there to view a quick view of the market activity, which is always useful, and the optionable stock statistics page to help you gauge what is the average stock price of all optionable stocks and the average current 50-day or 20-day volatility on stocks or the implied volatility, so you always have a quick view. Well, if you want access to tools like that, remember you can take a 14-day free trial at any time. Just go to PowerOp.com, put in your name and email address, and you'll have full access to the search, analysis, portfolio tools, much, much more for 14 days with no risk of being billed and no obligations. Completely free 14-day free trial. After that, subscriptions only start at $45 per month. We do offer that's the end of day data, where the data is only updated once at the end of day at around 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. We do offer a 15-minute delayed service at $65 per month. Taking the delayed service and adding the full historical capability goes back about 7-8 years. That's $100 per month. So you can do back testing, look at historical options change several years back in time. You do offer a real-time service, of course, and the premium service includes everything plus access to the API, the programmer's interface if you wanted to interact with our data, but have it spit out into a different format or a different file. You have a programmer you're able to program. You can do that in the API as well. That's the premium service. Once again, free education. We talked about at the beginning. You can go to our YouTube channel at any time, Power Options, go into the videos section, look at the recent videos, or use the search function there with the magnifying glass to search for specific topics: straddles, strangles, diagonal spreads, poor man's covered call, credit spreads, debit spreads, and so forth. Or you can go to the webinars page if you're currently on a trial or you are a subscriber. Just click free webinars under the main home tab. It's actually a public page. Not all webinars are public, but you can go to poweropt.com/webinars.asp to see those as well. All right. Well, last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, let me make sure here that we don't have any other questions coming in. Okay. I just want to remind everyone that if you do think of another question later on, send me an email at any time to support@poweropt.com or support@radioactivetrading.com. Also, call us during market hours at 302-992-7971, but I wouldn't do that on Monday because markets are closed on Monday. I'm not going to be here at the desk unless I decide to work on another video or presentation for you, of course, but we will be checking email. We just probably won't be by the phone with markets closed on Monday. And of course, trial members and subscribers schedule a free coaching session at any time. That's essentially a 35 to 45-minute phone conversation with myself or Ernie. We will walk you through the tools on the site and answer any questions that you have.